to another Who Corner to Corner podcast. I'm Paul, I'm with my daughter Freya, and over there, somewhere, either that side or that side, is my good old happy chum, Geoff. How are you, happy chum, Geoff? You good, mate? Are you good?
I will be on the left of screen.
I don't know. You have to edit it that way now, because otherwise you look very, very silly, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Anyways, so yes, we are. Wow, I can't believe actually that we're at the end of this series, the latest series of Doctor Who, because today we are going to be talking about the series 1 finale, the Empire of Death. The Empire of Death.
I was waiting for you to do that.
Yeah, the microphone's over there. It's normally a little bit closer, but now it has to be sharing it between two of us, you say. So,
can you do that voice, Freya?
Empire of Death.
No, you win.
What do you mean she wins? That's not right. Honestly, I don't know. So yes, I kind of don't know where to start with this really, but I am going to throw it over to Mr. Geoff to begin, because my thoughts on this story. Let's start with you, Geoff. Go on, you kick it off, but don't take too long. Go on. What are your thoughts on the Empire of Death, the wonderful finale to Series 1?
I hated it.
He didn't really hate it.
No,
you didn't. Tell me you didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. After the banger that we had last week, I was expecting a lot this week. And
this is the previous episode.
Yeah,
Legend of Ruby Sunday, not something you did in your spare time.
No.
Right, good.
And
just clearing that up.
I thought that
anyone needed that clearing up.
Yeah, I don't know what you were implying there, but
always helps to be clear, eh?
So I thought Legend of Ruby Sunday was the best episode of the season. Mm-hmm. It was tense and scary and very exciting. So I was really looking forward to this epised. And it had a lot of good stuff in it, but I have to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed by it. I think I was...
I can make Geoff out to be the bad guy, see?
Well, I'll just remind people to go and watch back our reviews of Space Babies.
Kill the Moon.
Yeah, Kill the Moon. So, yeah, I suppose I was expecting... a great big, RTD style finale, which is all, flash and bang and blah, blah, blah. And we sort of got a bit of that at the beginning with the Thanos the magic dust that obliterated everyone. And it was, I felt a bit like it was shown sort of in a very tunnel vision way. So we saw Earth getting... dusted, which was quite cool, but that was kind of all we saw, really, and this so the whole universe was being obliterated, which was a really good way of showing the power of Sutekh, but we kind of didn't really see it particularly, and I suppose I was expecting a lot more action, I think, really.
Action.
And that's my fault there. I went in kind of thinking we were going to get something that we didn't, based on past, finales. I thought Sutekh looked really good. It was really good CGI, but I thought he didn't really do much in the end. He just kind of stood around, leant on the TARDIS a bit.
Grip the TARDIS.
Yeah, and at one point he sort of moved around it, and I thought, oh, here he comes. He's going to get ready to go and, dust some more people, and then he just sort of leant on it again. So I felt like we had this great build-up, and despite the cheesy anagram reveal, they brought back Sutekh, and I thought it was really cool, and then he sort of didn't do anything, so it was a little bit of a shame. And I felt the Ruby Sunday mum mystery was both quite good, but parts of it were kind of rubbish as well. I liked that we were sort of led to believe that she was the most, sort of really important, and then they pulled the rug out from under us, and she was revealed to just be a normal person, but therefore the most important person in the world to Ruby. And I quite liked that. there's been a lot of
bit more human.
It was a bit more human, and RTD is quite well known for having people who are most important person in all of creation and stuff like this, and he teased us with that and then pulled it away at the end and changed it, so I quite liked that. I wasn't at all convinced about all of the naming of Ruby and the dramatic hood and the pointing at the sign, and it literally didn't work narratively.
Do it.
Oh my god, it's Ruby's mum.
That's it. Because this is obviously how kids used to dress.
Yeah,
in 2005.
Yeah, well,
wearing their dad's hoodies. 2004. She's the same age as Lucy.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you not do that now though, Freya? Do you not go out in like long ankle-length cloaks and hoods and go around going, pointing at road signs, going Butts Lane, or
There's a Butts Lane up the road, isn't there?
Oh,
we do. Oh, we have the Butts.
I got a Knob Hill near me.
We have Slag Lane, so.
Have you?
We do have Slag Lane as well. Yeah.
Do you have Schlag Lane? That's how you have to say it.
Schlag.
You schlag.
You set him off now.
So that was a bit.
He's auditioning for a role in the bill. Boy, you slag.
So I just didn't think that really worked. That she pointed at the sign to say she's called Ruby, but no one was there and no one saw the CCTV footage, and there wasn't even a lamppost there until it sort of magically appeared.
Yeah, so, I did see that online. Someone had posted that there was actually no lamppost on the Church of Ruby Road, but now it's there, and she was pointing to it in that kind of. But last time anybody pointed at something like that was Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, and it also happened in
who sadly died this week.
He did die the other day. Yeah,
absolute legend.
And it also happened in Modern Family when Mitchell had to go to court one day and he was losing, and he just turned around and went, "Shame" to someone.
We saw that one, didn't we? Did we see that one? That rings a bell. Yeah.
Shame.
Shame.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So not a big fan of this one particularly then. Although some good bits.
Yeah, I think like the whole season, there's been a lot of good stuff.
Yes.
Shooty and Millie, in particular, and it was really nice to see Bonnie Langford back this episode. She was, she got mummified, Sutekhed.
Well, she was killed. I think you'll find killed and possessed.
Yeah. But then she was magicked back. But she was really good. She was
infused with the spirit of Sutekh.
Yeah.
She was too cold, remember, to be alive.
Yes, right. I was going to say about Susan Triad as well. I had a point on that. So yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of time on the podcast, mate. You have to do it all in one go. Been doing 8 minutes so far. So,
well,
if you want another 8 minutes,
if you're still listening,
read my book. I'm starting to feel like a therapist.
Have a virtual gold star if you're still listening.
I was kind of thinking we could probably pass it around a bit and then talk about things, but if you want to take the show,
well, you sort of set me up, and I thought I'd just get it all out.
I'll learn from my mistakes and just take it all on. Not let you get a chance.
So, on that note, schlag. What did you think?
I don't think that's a very nice word for Geoff to call you, really, is it? It's not at all, especially as you're next. I mean, we watched this, didn't we? And I don't think we were massively impressed. No, I think at one point
that was. You did you?
Cry.
I was crying.
Was that at the bit with the doctor going "get at," or when Ruby was with her mum?
When Ruby was with her mum.
Now that was very good. It was really nicely played, and you know what? Like, I don't feel like I got to know Ruby brilliantly across this season. I like her. She's cool, and she's quite feisty, and I think that Millie plays her brilliantly the whole time. But I just I think. Sorry, I've hijacked again, but
just go for it, mate. It's fine.
It's I don't think the 8-episode thing worked because it just wasn't enough, and I felt quite strange really after this episode, because I always think there's always something to love in Doctor Who, and I never really go in for worst Doctor, worst episode, worst season. None of this stuff. It's like I just literally see no point in it. But I came away from this one feeling disappointed because I didn't sort of feel at the least like, oh, that was great fun. You know,
Yeah.
normally, well, certainly in recent years anyway, every week I've been like, that was amazing.
It was amazing.
And so I felt a little bit.
Jazz hands always make life better, you know.
Yeah, they do.
That was amazing, or that was disappointing.
Yeah.
See how even that was disappointing. It's so much better with jazz hands.
It was quite a weird feeling to feel a bit disappointed by it. I think really, and not have it fully work for. Well, yeah, you should be. Yeah, so that was that really. Yeah. Wow.
Right. Anyway, so what were we saying before we were hijacked again? So yeah, I mean,
and I wanted to just say as well. No,
yeah,
your turn. You go.
Are you sure? You sure you don't want another 5 minutes? You good? Right. Okay. So we were watching this, and we were quite looking forward to it, weren't we, Freya?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. But very quickly, I noticed Freya was looking at TikToks on her phone.
Were you tick-tocking? Tickety-tocking.
And I was kind of waiting for something to start because. So we had.
What was the bit where they kept on going on and on?
Oh, this was this bit. I made a note of it over here. Actually, it was mostly
No,
when.
no, not that bit.
Wasn't it that bit?
No, right at the start.
This is right at the start.
No, that's not right at the start.
Oh, was there more before that? Maybe I've
Yeah.
deleted that from
No,
memory.
there
Go on,
was
then.
like
Tell us.
one bit at the start when they're in like.
Was it? Oh, but they were in unit.
Yeah, when they're maybe I don't know when the doctor's just going on and on. And
There was a
on
lot of it.
about
yeah.
death.
Oh,
and everything.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, mate.
Yeah, it was in the memory TARDIS. It started outside in unit. So the whole thing, right? The pre-credits, bit of a recap on what happened towards the end of the last episode, and then when it all kind of kicked off, it just took a very long time, and they're all shooting at Sutekh, right? The Doctor kind of runs. What happens? I can't even remember what happened. I watched it again this morning on 1.5 speed, and it seemed a lot better because it happened a lot. It was actually pretty quick. It was like, yeah, do. And I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty exciting.
The ultimate insult to classic Who.
Yeah, but
I watch
do you know
it
what?
at 1.5 speed.
You sound like someone my age.
It just, yeah, you're right, Frank. It just went on, mate.
There was one bit where the doctor was just talking about how Sutekh is death and death and death and everyone's dead.
That was a
and
little bit later on, I think. And when he did the whole death is death, so I must be life kind of thing.
I'd like to say there was quite a bit of time is memory and memory is time. Death is death and I'm life. And what's death plus death is minus life, and it's 7.
It was going on and on and on. But
do you know-
here's the thing.
Sorry.
Wait.
Just goes,
Oh my!
I need to ask
and
something.
Dad just goes, yeah, mate, I get it.
I was doing that because you know what I was thinking in my head was you know, have you ever seen Red Dwarf? You've seen Red
some
Dwarf,
of it,
haven't
yeah.
you? Very first episode, entitled "The End," where Lister wakes up out of suspension, and he's looking around, and everybody's dead. And Holly, the computer, is telling him, "Yeah, everybody's dead." And he's got, "What? Even Kachansky? Yeah, they're all dead, Dave." And he's naming them off, and he goes, and Holly just goes, "Everybody's dead, Dave. Dead, Dave. They're dead. Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody is dead." Like, and it was like that. I just kind of had that going around in my mind, just because. But that was done for laughs. This seemed to be funny, but actually was done for very, it's quite serious. And I suppose from my perspective, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I did not enjoy this in the slightest. There were some pretty decent moments, but for me, there were few and far between. But I think I didn't really go into it then with any expectations other than I probably would be disappointed. I was kind of prepared for the disappointment.
Yeah,
because
I
probably haven't really enjoyed Russell T Davies' Doctor Who, and certainly the finales as much as a lot of other people seem to have. It just never quite seems to land for me anyway. So I was kind of expecting this one to be a little bit like, sort of Last of the Time Lords kind of thing, and a kind of portentous sort of, I don't know, journey, odyssey across the universe, which it kind of was, I guess, except that we never really saw it. There was just a lot of talking and more talking, which is why actually when it was on 1.5 speed, it was playing quite a lot better. I thought, what are you doing now? You're
Watching
Googling
it on 2 times speed.
Just watching it on 2 times speed. I'll be done in half an hour, won't it?
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
Refreshing my memory.
Indeed.
You'd set your expectations, and I'd felt buoyed up by last week and thought we'd get a bit more.
I don't think last week's was that great, really.
Well, I'm
it was all right,
benchmarking
but I felt
this.
it was a
all
lot of
build
build up. So
Yeah.
it didn't feel like a complete story
I did
in
like
itself.
the start of it.
I'm
when,
benchmarking it against the rest of the series.
When the Doctor and Mel are like, and everyone at unit's like, and
Dusted.
Yeah, and then they're with Susan Triad, and then they get out on the motorbike. Oh man,
That was cool.
I like that.
But that looks better on 2-speed.
It does, doesn't it?
It
There's
does, yeah. On
and
normal
also-
speed, it takes forever to get there, I think.
When everyone got dusted and Kate Stewart got dusted, I thought,
Yes.
that's annoying, because I really quite like Kate.
That goes.
Yeah.
But I also knew at the...
She's dead. So she's gonna come back.
Yeah,
They're gonna
you
reverse it.
immediately knew
Really.
that wasn't going to stick, and
No.
sense of any jeopardy with it. And I was going to say about time is memory, memory is time, and blah 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 and all that. Is it me, or was stuff like that just sort of babbly nonsense that was expected to go? Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's very expected to think that it's some kind of deep intellectual symbolic meaning.
Yes,
with
it's this bit.
It's this bit. Oh, she's was that what you were doing? You were trying to find the bit.
Yeah.
It's happening over again every time I landed here. 1999. Oh, that's a throwback to the TV movie.
And like, I get it,
1066,
but the
2005.
whole- It goes on.
It does go on. That is the memory TARDIS, though.
Yeah, I know. I just forgot.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I think you're right,
the
Geoff.
Earth is
and-
dying so many times. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. That bit.
It was going on. It was like, yeah, come on, we get it. Just get on with the story, get on with the adventure. But it never did seem to get on with the adventure.
It really
was
did.
just a lot of talking.
drag.
I mean, I hear a lot of criticism that the old series is is not good to the modern sensibilities because it's just people talking in corridors. But this was essentially that. It was all right. They were talking in a memory TARDIS, but it was still just lots and lots.
It
of
was
talking.
a lot of it, and
I didn't think there was any story particularly, or what story there was really, really thin. I mean, super thin. You could kind of see through it. It was stretched right across the episode, tighter than Sutekh's, I don't know, claw finger things. And I on that, because I know you said you liked the CGI. I didn't particularly. I mean, if I was 10, 11 or 12, probably I might think it was pretty cool, maybe.
That part.
But what?
But you know
memory
what?
TARDIS where he's on about how everything's his
Yes.
fault goes on for 3 minutes.
really,
3
that's a
minutes.
long scene.
It's a long time in a
for-
54-minute episode, isn't it?
The thing with Sutekh, I thought he looked good, but then
I don't think he did.
I mean, it was.
Honestly, I kind of preferred the shonky mask from Pyramids of Mars.
Well, I mean, that
to
would
say
have
I
been
didn't-
cool to have had a modern version of that.
Yeah,
But-
because there was something really sinister about that look. You know what I mean? And really kind of otherworldly, spooky. And I know Sutekh. I mean, it's Sutekh in Egypt. I'm sure someone will email in and correct me. But I'm sure he's not actually a dog. He just has the head of a dog. I think the rest of his body is kind
Probably
of
humanoid,
humanish,
yeah,
right? He's got arms and legs and wears Egyptian clothing. So yes, there you go. So that's what he looks like. So for him to then actually be a giant godlike
it's like-
dog was just kind of weird. And and I made the point last week when it was revealed. I kind of tweeted a naughty thing really, which I thought was quite fun actually, because I said something like, if next week's finale doesn't feature Sutekh. Sutekh chasing the guys through different corridors, Scooby Doo style, to the sound of "Walk Like an Egyptian." Ding, 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 ding. I mean, you can imagine that, can't you?
Yeah.
Right. Then I said I'm out, and it didn't feature
didn't
that,
happen.
but I kid you not, it would have been a lot better if it had. I think.
I did see someone say they were disappointed Sutekh didn't burst into a musical number.
I know, because you've kind of been leading up to it.
Yeah.
We've had this whole stretching of the fabric of reality, and we've had a whole kind of a new rule set for the laws of physics established in this series. I mean, well, actually established before this series with your favourite bit in Wild Blue Yonder, the salt spreading at the end of the universe. But we didn't have that payoff, in this. So
I went to something more like the whole series. All the villains have been like indicating towards.
yes, the
something.
legions.
But it's like, but he didn't even mention them. Like,
Because they
Like, who
kept
were
on
they?
about the
Where-
one who
what
waits
happened
and the boss and the legions. And was Sutekh the one who waits? Was he the boss, or what's going on? It's just a
No.
lot of kind of, and now you've
A
got
lot of
Miss,
setup and no.
yeah. And then
no
you've got
delivery.
Mrs.
I
Flood
would
doing
say
it as well at the
universe
end.
with this spoon. He barely used the spoon.
This is true, but he did fire at the TV with the spoon.
I did
he?
like
The
that bit
TV
actually
panel.
with the woman in like the desert. That was
Oh, with the baby that she'd forgotten the name of. Yeah, that was. See, I preferred a little bit more of that.
yeah.
Because that was showing
talking, really
what's happened out there with the devastation and stuff, but it was
so
again
you get
quite
an idea of the scope.
And it's
tunnel.
like how when he's like, oh, at least she won't kill right. She's like, I'd rather be dead.
Yeah. It was quite
You wouldn't,
effective.
you're
Yeah.
all alone and you've forgotten everything and you're just
Do
barely
you know,
surviving.
and I wanted to say that I thought Sutekh looked quite good, but they didn't end up doing anything with it. And with the quality that you get these days of, digital characters in stuff, you know, like he should have been walking around and doing stuff, and
he spun the TARDIS around, which I think is the most thing, and then he was kind of flying through the time vortex, holding onto his leash, onto his rope, and it was like they take the dog for a walk or something.
And he'd spent thousands of years clinging onto the TARDIS, going through the time vortex, but then when he was put on a lead in the time vortex, he died.
Yeah. Okay. So this is all the bad stuff out the way and done with then, right? So and this series has been. Oh, you got something else?
Yes. What I did like then is the.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to. I was going to say that's all the bad stuff. Now let's move on to the good stuff.
I thought the Susan Triad bit was quite good. The way Sutekh could, I kind of, on one hand, I quite liked that he'd been hanging around on the TARDIS and following the Doctor everywhere and kind of spreading death or the person to trigger it, later, and that was how there was Susan Triads everywhere. So I quite like that, but at the same time, it kind of massively undoes. Or not undoes, but sort of spoils some things when you think about it. 13 and Yaz are sitting on the top of the TARDIS eating ice cream with Sutekh trying to get a bite behind them, or
gathered around them.
12 when he shrinks down in Flatline. Did Sutekh shrink down, or did you just have to hang around until it got bigger again? It's sort of it's a sort of addition that starts to fall apart when you look at it a bit, I think.
It's a retcon that you'd rather forget about, I think.
Which I think
because who wants to think about that now? Every time they watch one of the old stories from like episodes of Mars onwards, Pyramids of Mars onwards. Is that what it was? It was
that's when he was there.
Hugging the TARDIS and Pyramids of Mars.
All the way through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He's there, and and I'm just not sure it really works for me.
No, I don't know. It's anyway, but we're talking about the good stuff.
But I did like the Susan Triad.
You like the Susan Triad?
Yeah,
okay.
it was good.
One from me then. I'll tell you one thing I did like. Hold on, I'm going to find it because I wrote it down. Yes, okay. There's a couple of things I liked because the Vorp subtitles. That was in because we watched it with subtitles.
Oh, right.
And when the TARDIS was materialising, it was
deaf.
like Vorp, which is the what they used to write
in the comic,
indicate the TARDIS.
Well, I must say
in the comic, I like that.
If we need subtitles to get a good point, then
I'm not finished yet. I've got more. Wait, hold on one second. There's also
BBC subtitles.
Yes. There's also the taxi driver at the beginning. Now that is a standard Russell T Davies. Whenever there's some sort of deadly destruction going on, he has to have a taxi driver. If you recall, there was one in Rose when the Autons did their thing. There was several taxi drivers in lots of the Christmas stories.
Yeah,
and the recent one, Star Beast. And the giggle.
Yes.
He's got to have a taxi. And there's one here as well, right?
Yeah,
so that's a kind of a tick of Russell. You can almost go through and tick off the Russell T Davies things. And like you, I did enjoy the fact that the most important person in the universe was not actually the most important person in the universe. Although she was. Right, she's the most important person in the universe by not being the most important person in the universe, but that actually made her the most important person in the universe.
Yeah,
right. So, because Sutekh couldn't see her for reasons, right? To keep the plot to one side, right?
He
stop.
He had
this is the thing, right? You know, when you write a story, I only spoke about it before, right? The whole idea of a story mountain. You know what a story mountain is, don't
Story
you?
mountains.
Story mountain. It's how they teach kids to write stories in modern times, right? So you're rumbling along, and then you encounter an obstacle, right?
Long.
And you have to climb the obstacle, overcome it some way, and then you follow it through and downslope, right? That's your story shape, right? And one thing that you do in certain stories is you stop the hero of the story, right, actually solving and fixing everything, which is really difficult when you've got a super powerful hero, right, a person with all kinds of gadgets or superpowers at their disposal and stuff like that. You have to keep them out of the story. You have to keep them away from things for quite a while. And one way Doctor Who has always done this in the past is actually lock the Doctor in prison for a couple of episodes in a cell, right, or have them kind of running around aimlessly and doing stuff. But yeah, this one actually had the Doctor just locked in a memory TARDIS for probably about, I don't know, 25 minutes, 20 minutes at least. If you know the whole thing, the memory TARDIS was actually keeping the Doctor away from solving the story, because the actual story itself, then, once he decided to do what he was going to do, was literally grab a rope, tie one end of it to the TARDIS console, tie the other end of it to Sutekh's collar, and drag him through time and space in the back of the memory TARDIS sort of thing. Okay, so we're talking about things that we liked rather than things we disliked, right? What I liked about that was the memory TARDIS, because we've seen it in those Tales of the TARDIS things, and it's a lovely set. Yeah, it's made of all kinds of different bits of
I liked
TARDIS.
Mel with Sixie's coat there. Lovely.
Mel has a little snooze, and the Doctor and Ruby are talking about these old adventures, and we see these little flashbacks of all kinds of different things, right? And then we get some callbacks to some planets like Talos and Tegela and Skaro. Well, I think that might have been early, but I think it kind of goes around a few times. So that was kind of good. But then that's a good bit. But then what kind of really jarred was a line in there somewhere where was it Ruby saying, "Who are those people in the TARDIS and with the hair?"
Some bloke.
And it's like,
that's Doctor 1.0 in that body, isn't it? It's just Doctor 2.0.
Do you know what? I at that moment I'm kind of ready to sort of just turn the TV off, because it's like, I mean, it's just a program, you know, at the end of the day. But I don't really care that much. I don't get that emotionally invested. But that did feel pretty harsh. The current Doctor just writes off the older Doctor as someone, not even someone I used to be. Just some bloke. Just someone. These are just some people who used to travel in a TARDIS. I know there's a nice little bit about Sarah Jane. She was lovely, and everything else, and a kind of wistful. I was a different man.
He said something like that in Tales of the TARDIS. He said, "Oh, I travelled a friend."
That's it. But in the episode, it was like, they're just people who
it's
used to
dismissive,
travel,
and I think one of the differences between us is you have a heart of stone and I don't, and that's the sort of thing that bothers me, because it's dismissive, and I feel that, you know, if you're carrying the show on, you kind of there's got to be an element of respect. I think you don't have to carry on like Russell carried on the timeless child themes. Great, he didn't have to, but I would hope that he wouldn't have been dismissive about it, you know, and sort of making Mr. Baker a bit of a, well, it's just some bloke who was in the TARDIS, like. I wasn't keen on that. And this is the problem, I think, because you got some really good stuff, but it's kind of countered by, and this is all personal anyway, and I know there's a lot of people out there who really love it, with some comments.
It's kind of it's countered by some very dubious stuff as well, and a lot of that stuff.
About highlights now.
Yes, sorry, Frey. What did you like?
My favourite moment in the whole thing was when Harriet Arbinger was in the TARDIS, and the thing went down, and a little cannon laser blaster thing was in there, and she went before it shot her.
Oh, I didn't see that, but that would have
absolutely
been
brilliant.
Right, okay. Frey's favourite bits.
I could almost hear her going, "Oh, Betty." Sorry, I was turned disco here. I don't know why I'm flashing.
Yeah, you do that while Frey tells us about her favourite bits. Then go on, then.
I liked the bits leading up to when the Sutekh on the lead.
Okay, yeah.
But before that, and the way that they build up Ruby's mum, and like how she does like the DNA test and everything.
Yes,
and then
yeah.
Sutekh is there. Well, I can't remember which one it is, but one of them is there, and it's like, tell me the name, like tell me.
He was getting quite wound up by it, wasn't he?
Kill the doctor. I'm gonna do this. Like, tell me, give me the name, give me the secret, like the secret. And she just goes, oh yeah, I'll give it to you, and then drops on the floor. So you great big god, nothing. I thought that was really cool. I liked what Ruby was wearing in that port. I thought she looked hot.
Oh, the thing. I didn't notice.
And then, and the bit to Roger William.
Roger William, yeah.
Like that whole
so there were some nice bits there, actually.
And,
what?
Yeah,
that
and
bit
how they
based
were,
around a deleted scene from 73 Yards?
It's not a deleted scene, you plum. She somehow subconsciously remembers the experiences that she had.
Because they were talking about, it was like, the dangerous Prime Minister, and something that's like, even though she doesn't say anything until he says like the meters thing, and she's like, 73 yards. And he's like, how do you know that? And she's like, I don't know. But even in her face when he's talking about Roger, and she's like, I do kind of know what you're on about.
Yeah, that's cool. But having something that didn't actually ever get seen become pivotal to the plot is not working.
We did get seen, though.
No, but he never talked about DNA stuff in the episode.
What, in 73 Yards?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that
It doesn't matter.
No, I don't think that matters
Because
too much.
the bit in 73 yards is all about the nuclear bomb.
I don't think
But he
you
was
can
dangerous
base
as well.
something that important.
And I
liked
but they do
this
that a lot.
bit.
What's that bit?
The end, and she sees her mum.
Yeah, that was quite nice.
It was nice.
And like,
and
and then the doctor's really sad because he can't.
you just
see
know who his mum and
anybody.
dad are.
But
where
then,
it comes from.
and it's how he's like, don't talk to her. Like, she's better off not knowing you. And Ruby's like, I ain't gonna listen to you.
That's exactly what she said. In exactly that tone of voice. Yeah. I mean, the thing on that though, just to say, is that you could almost lift that scene and put it into any other drama.
Yeah.
You could put it into EastEnders, Corrie, Hollyoaks, or
What
anything
was she,
like
what
that.
was she on?
Yeah, and it's like
What was Millie Gibson in?
she was on Corrie, wasn't she?
Corrie.
Yes, you could
she
put
was
that on Corrie.
Yeah, you could. She probably played it the same way, and it was brilliantly done. It was the emotional heart of the episode, I thought. But when you do the sci-fi, you can kind of
But then I don't
you
like
do something
how
quite.
she suddenly just brings her into her family, and I'm like,
I've heard a few people say that.
I'm like, she's a stranger. You wouldn't immediately like. I mean, you'd hug her maybe, but like, she is a stranger. Yes, she's your mum, but you have not met her ever. Like, I wouldn't suddenly be like, oh yeah, come into my house. Like, come meet my mum.
And also
Like,
to
eventually,
say,
yes. But I thought it would. I thought when it happened, I was like, oh, this is definitely a different day. But I think they said something where it was like, oh no, she's literally just walked in. I think they were wearing the same clothes. That's how I noticed.
But saying that, I mean, I think unless you're an adoptee, it's difficult to know what people would really do in that situation. And I think it's personal and it's unique to you and that moment in time. So I think for us, who never had to sort of
I don't
go
like
through
the
that,
goodbye scene.
I think it's difficult. Oh, Geoff, you weren't a fan of the kicking Ruby out the TARDIS, were you?
no, it felt a little bit like the doctor was like, yep, all right, see you later.
It, aren't you, right here?
And
I'm looking down. That's what I'm doing.
He got upset about her leaving after the fact, which was quite effective, but it was also sort of all a bit ineffective because I know Ruby's coming back next season in whatever way. So I wasn't sad to be seeing her go here because she'll come back. So I was a bit like, all right, well that's that then. Well,
she's not going to be in it for the Christmas episode, is she? So
no.
I think that's. And I kind of read this as, the Doctor sort of letting her out the TARDIS in order to kind of, cement that new family dynamic together, find a place within it and spend some time with both her mum and her birth mum and, just sort of find out how that's going to work and just have those memories and experiences. So I thought that was quite nice.
Yes.
I thought also it was kind of like the first Doctor booting Susan out of the TARDIS in the Dalek invasion of Earth, or
I'm still
whatever
convinced
that's
they're the
called.
same person.
Who, Susan and Ruby? Ooh, well, maybe they are. You never know. Actually, So Yeah, I mean, the first Doctor just boots Susan out.
Yeah,
She's literally just met a guy. Spent a few hours with him, sort of rolling around Bedford and what have you. And suddenly, the Doctor's like, "Well, she's all right now. She's married for life. She's got her own thing. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine." And she's like, "No, it was only a fling. I was only having a bit of fun. Let me back in." Warp, gone. So yeah, it kind of reminded me of that, actually. It was probably actually better done than that, Susan's kind of exit. So, I don't have an issue with knocking Ruby out, leaving her for, a few stories and then coming back. You're gone very dark, mate. What's going on?
Do you know, I'm going to go...
It's okay, they gave everyone half an hour to get there. But this, I have to be there
that's
at
better.
8:45 to start at 9.
Sorry, the kids are too hot. They can't sleep, so they
it's quite warm now.
around.
I've got a bit of a sweat on myself, haven't I?
The state of my hair, it's gone absolutely massive.
You've got frizzy hair. Right, what were we talking about? You've got a bit anyway, haven't you? Do you want to say your bit?
I don't know where I said it. Do I say it when Geoff said it?
Yeah, because that was just us talking.
Okay.
Go for it.
I didn't like when everyone came back from the dead, like in unit and everything, and they just were like on the floor asleep, and then they just woke up. Oh, I'm alive. Everything's okay. Like, no, they went to dust, so they're as dust, and then you just have them unconscious. It's like, no, that's not how it would work, would it? I want it to be more dramatic.
More dramatic for the younger generation, please.
Yeah.
Like coming from the dust, like they can do that. They have the money.
Well, yeah, Disney money now. Yeah, they've got all that kind of stuff. I mean,
the money gone?
Well, indeed, it was all on that dust cloud rolling through the street and paying a taxi driver to do his stunts. But I tell you another thing that I liked, which was pretty cool. Again, it's going back to the rope scene. The intelligent ropes, which was set up in the church on Ruby Road. So, and that whole joy of the Doctor sort of learning the new science and how that sort of paid off because he used the science of the rope. I'm really reaching for it here, mate. I don't know. Just as I'm saying this, I'm trying to convincing myself now that actually
you just said he used the science of the rope.
Oh, no. What am I talking about? Oh my God! I don't know. It's just. Do you know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to try again on a slightly different topic. Mrs. Flood, right? Yeah. So what was that all about? Now she's been kind of running in and out this series, and in this one she's looking after Cherry, and at the end of the previous set, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, right? Yeah. She's looking out towards this building storm, and she starts talking really posh about oncoming storms and what have you. There's a storm coming and stuff like that. And her accent had changed, so she's a lot posher in this one. And she grabs hold of Cherry Sunday, and she's like, "I'm so sorry, little woman, that this is how it ends," or something like that, wasn't it? So
and she did also,
and she goes about revealing her true form or her true name or true nature or
she
something
said,
like that.
I had such plans as well. So there's obviously something more there.
You said she thought she was someone, but then you were like, no.
Anytime there's a new character who's a bit mysterious, everyone's
Susan.
It's Susan. It's River. It's the
It's the master. River song. It's Clara.
Yeah. Maybe it's
although somebody I did see something online where someone had I showed Freya, didn't I? Someone had taken pictures of Mrs. Flood wearing different outfits, and one of the outfits she's got that grey jumper and collared shirt that Clara wore in Face the Raven. And there's another one when she's on the rooftop wearing that big hoodie snow thing. She looks like Romana V1 from the Ribos operation. Another one where she was wearing Rory's gillet top thing. And then another one with Ryan's beanie hat. So it's like, maybe she's in some way the storytelling companion, the companion chronicler or something, but do you know what, actually, I kind of think, I don't actually care anymore, to be honest. It'll just, whatever it's going to be,
It's best not to think about it, because the more you think about it, the more hyped up you get, and then you'll just be disappointed.
I think that's a sad way to be, though, isn't it?
No, because you get disappointed anyway. Like, whatever it would be, you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't think headcanoning is too good.
In every TV show, if there's too much speculation about something, then you just look forward to it too much.
Yeah, but Russell T Davies kind of fuels speculation, though, doesn't he? And in this series particularly, a lot of the stuff he's been saying online in Unleashed and all the various interviews, he wants us to be talking about things, and this whole thing about fans imbuing stuff with significance, right? You say he wants to write stuff to generate ideas and
Memes.
content for the
Memes.
internet and all that kind of stuff. So
And the whole
if you're going to do that, you are going to set up expectations, and to then to sort of not deliver. But then it's personal, because I know that a lot of people really, really loved this episode and thought it was amazing.
Why don't we find out what some of our pals and listeners thought?
Yes, let's. Oh, go on. Freya's got something. Yes.
The promotion of this whole series.
The what?
The promotion.
Promotion.
Like at the start, before it even aired, was like hacking, and like someone taking over. Like the Doctor hacked into Radio 1.
Oh,
and did a whole
that's true.
It's the Doctor's secret message, and I feel like nothing's come out of that. Like throughout the whole series, it's like, okay, but what was that about? Like, what was the thing that he was trying to warn everyone about? Why was
Sutekh, presumably?
I presume, but like, I don't know.
We're all going to turn to dust.
Mentioned it more and been like, and the Doctor being like, right, I'm going to send out a signal to everybody.
So this would have been a really good way to kind of integrate sort of contemporary marketing platforms with story content, right?
I understand why they did it to market it and promote it more.
But you could use it
across,
across
into the story.
Exactly, and you can use it across different platforms, can't you? If you wanted to. So pulling people in from all sorts of places. But yeah, you've got to deliver it into the story then, perhaps, if you do that. So I think I think this story was written with the best intentions, and one thing I've liked about this series is how it's kind of changed our expectations of the whole science in Doctor Who. That's obviously a big thing with me. It's kind of forced us, it's challenged us to sort of think of Doctor Who in less rigid terms, right? Where there's a much higher degree of magic, right, and unknown science, goblin science, the science of coincidence, the science of ropes, and lots of different ways of thinking, and perhaps that's what is meant by the whole Mavity thing, turning something on its head, and But I think the danger with that is that you essentially write yourself a big get out of jail card, right? So you don't actually need your story mountain anymore. You can just cut straight through the mountain because you've got a giant mallet, or you've got a piece of magic rope, or something. And I've always kicked off about the sonic screwdriver in Doctor Who, especially of late, where it's kind of waved around at everything. But if all you're going to do is but if all you're going to do is replace the Sonic with a magic wand, then what's the point? You might as well just have the Sonic, instead of writing a rule so that you can literally just pick a great big mallet out of the TARDIS floor and whack another TARDIS into being. That, as I said before, kind of set the tone for this. I sort of like how it's challenged us to kind of think of Doctor Who in different terms. But again, I don't think it's really used that to its best. I think it's just used that setting up of magic as a series of rules that we can now use to tell our stories as a massive excuse to shortcut any real problems. Like, for example, like you said, with the unit people, just bringing them back from dust. You Thanos, right? Clicking the fingers. The entire universe is gone very, very quickly. I mean, the universe is a big place, but and one click of the fingers or whatever, everybody's alive again. Even the lady with the baby, her baby's alive. Everybody lives, and happy days again. And it's just, I just kind of start reaching for the bucket. But as you said, yes, some people have enjoyed it. Let's go to those happy souls over there. Maddie Dilly was off to the cinema to watch it. She was so excited. She said she'll try and stay awake long enough to send us a voice note when she got home, but didn't, because it looks like the app didn't work. So if you do find it, Maddie, and if it does work for you, please do send us a note. Keelan McManus, again, actually, who's been dropping us a few notes recently, says, warning, spoilers ahead. I finished the watch about 15 minutes ago. I've been digesting it. I've had a quick look online, and opinions are extremely negative of the episode. But I have to say, I really enjoyed it.
And that's what matters.
Brilliant.
And, that's...
While last week's episode felt very much like episode 1 of a classic Who serial, we got a bigger budget, bombastic storyline in Empire of Death. For one, Sutekh felt like a genuine threat, doing what the Daleks always dreamed of in the first 15 minutes, really set the tone of the episode. When I get to, I've just moved it now, so I've kind of lost it. Of the episode, and it was a shocking twist that he's been with the Doctor since Pyramids of Mars. It was a convenient way of explaining how he's brought to death how he's brought death to the universe in virtually all space and time simultaneously. I was just a little disappointed we saw no mummies. Yes, I would have loved to have seen mummies this time round. I wonder, does the Doctor's solution mean A, events of the Flux are now undone, and B, now that since the God of Death is no more, is death no longer a concept in the universe? Interesting. And then a little bit of stuff about Mrs. Flood. Yeah, Rebecca Lim says this episode was fantastic, huge build-up, and the episode did not disappoint. Sutekh was a genuine threat again. Pleased for Ruby, and at the same time suffering pain because the Doctor doesn't have closure on their family identity. So Rebecca also says, thank you so much for your podcast. I love hearing your reviews. Hooray!
Thank you, that's very nice.
And William Morgan says it was very good. So there you go. So some positive things on Facebook, and I've seen a few other things as well, and I think that's important. What works for some, not going to work for others.
Twitters to read. There's a few voice notes as well, I believe.
Yes, there is. Yes. Do we want to play one of these?
I think we should play them all. As people take the time to send.
Oh, okay. So should we start with? Let's start with B.
8.5 out of 10.
8.5.
Okay, so the 1.5 missing would mean, in my opinion, there was like so much hype for Ruby Sunday's mom that I thought it would be Mrs. Flood. I thought it would be Susan Triad. There was even a couple of speculations about it being the 13th Doctor due to the boots matching and the socks to some extent for the hooded figure.
Did you see that, Freya?
I think even one reader of Doctor Who magazine said that, it would have been Kate Lethbridge Stewart due to her and Ruby spending a lot of time together, a lot of screen time together. But I, as well as many other Whovians out there, would never have thought that Ruby's mum would be like an ordinary woman. Well, I wouldn't say ordinary because, to quote one of the Doctors, the 9th one, there's no such thing as an ordinary human.
Very true.
But yeah, I've never expected that. Other than that, it was a good season finale. Can't wait for the Christmas special now.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Thank you, B. That was amazing. Again, really positive. I love that. Let's hear from Gareth and see what Gareth had to say.
I bring you Sutekh's gift of disappointment.
Oh, no!
Hi, Gareth Bowley here. So tonight's episode, an interesting one. What was the point of Mel? Did she really add anything? There was no developed story there for her. Very convoluted sort of ending, massive reset switch. Kind of like the Pandorica opens, the Big Bang, if we had to be brutally honest. And then you have the fact that actually we're told not to care about things as fans. The whole Ruby thing wasn't really relevant, even though Maestro said there was something weird about it, but hey. So what are we saying? We shouldn't be paying attention to this series. We shouldn't be watching this series. Very confused. Not as good as last week's. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Bottom line, not as good as last week.
She's still making everything snow, like.
Oh yeah, was that explained?
Was that properly explained? I didn't think that really had an explanation. I was a bit
it did
like...
have an explanation, but I thought it was quite.
What was it then? Do you remember?
Bad. No, it was something like, Ruby, your thoughts are so strong.
Oh yeah.
It was awful.
Oh, that's a bit like time is memory, and memory is time.
Yeah,
that's
it.
Death
there was
life.
There was quite a lot of that sort of proletizing going on throughout the whole thing, wasn't there? And it's like, okay. Let's hear from our good friend Didymus and hear what Didymus has to say.
Hello. Gents. Hope you're good. Not really sure what to make of that episode of Doctor Who, to be perfectly honest with you. There was some wonderful stuff in it. Lots of isolated moments. Bonnie Langford was incredible. There was some nice acting all round, but the script was a tonal mess. This new era, I feel like a writer that I had a lot of respect for. He's just writing stuff that isn't working for me. I'm starting to think that maybe Doctor Who is a show that I used to like, and I will come back to when things change. I think a lot of the kind of magic mumbo-jumbo that is being used to resolve plots doesn't work There's not enough explanation for any of it. It's just, this would be a cool looking scene, so let's do it. And I still don't understand why Ruby had to leave the TARDIS, because she now has her birth parents back in her life. She just wants some time to catch up with them, but that apparently means the Doctor tells her to get out of his TARDIS. Why doesn't he just come and pick her up in a few weeks' time or a few months' time in his time machine? Just so many weird choices this season, and I'm really hoping that next year is better, because every episode that has had positives has also had a lot of negatives, and I'm missing the quality of previous eras. Love you.
Love you too. I feel similar to how Didymus feels there. Some really good stuff and some not so good stuff, and I suppose frustrations, I guess, in a way, and I was really looking forward to 73 yards, and it started out brilliantly, but then kind of didn't pay off for me. But then other people.
I quite enjoyed it though. Some episodes are just a bit.
Other people loved it, so that's
I'd
that's
liked
fine.
it apart from the very end.
The very end. Which one? 73 yards. Yeah.
Paul, am I right in thinking we've got voice notes from
Hugh and Morgan?
Yes.
Let's listen to Hugh.
Hi Geoff, hi Paul.
Hi.
I thought it was great. I really, really loved it. I thought it was a really good conclusion to the season. I thought it tied everything together really nice in a really good bow. I loved I think my favourite part, like I said last week, that my favourite part of last week was the personal aspect for the Doctor with Susan and his family, and again this week my favourite aspect was likewise with Ruby and her mother and her birth mother, and I think that really is at the heart of Doctor Who, is the characters. So seeing that be continued personally was really, really interesting, and it was my favorite part of it. And I love that Ruby's birth mother just ended up being just a normal, ordinary human being, because it was very I think that's very true to the story of the Doctor, and also just the story, the basic heart of Doctor Who. And it's been a recurring theme this season, hasn't it, with in Space Babies, when he says that he is one of a kind because there is no one else in the universe that's like him.
Yes.
But it's not because he's an alien or because he's the last of his species, but because he himself is one of a kind, as is everybody else. I suppose if I had one thing that I would hope that they'd work on in season 2 is I hope that they would stop because they keep it's not just funny humorous bits, they keep cutting out plot details. So that would be something that if there was one bit of constructive criticism I would give for season 2, that would be it. But besides that, I thought it was a very fun episode. I really, really loved everything with Ruby. Sutekh was back and he was as threatening as ever, and I think overall it was just a very good finale. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the story is expanded on in season 2. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I will hand the mic back to you.
Brilliant, thank you, Hugh. That was great.
And then finally, let's hear from Morgan.
Hello, Paul and Geoff.
Hi, Morgan.
So, I've just rewatched The Empire of Death, and it wasn't for me. The questions in the episode weren't answered apart from the mystery behind Ruby's birth parents. And just to add, how come Davina McCall couldn't find Ruby's mum when she is a nurse? As I said, it just wasn't for me. Unfortunately, I thought Sutekh was completely wasted, and the mystery behind Susan Twist's character is still there, and Mrs. Flood. Who are these people, and will the answers ever be resolved? I just thought, I thought the first part of the episode was good. And then it just went very, 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 very wrong. Yeah, the hype from the Legend of Ruby Sunday didn't last at all. Sadly. But, each to their own, I suppose.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Morgan. Fabulous.
you.
I'm sorry there's a few others out there who didn't like it, but I'm so pleased, genuinely pleased, that there's a whole bunch of people who really did enjoy that. And I think that, for me, is the most important thing. We can argue these things and we can set up camps and wave flags, and but at the end of the day, it's still Doctor Who, and I don't know. I mean, as a fan, I'll take it all, warts and all. I love the good stuff, and and I may not love the bad stuff as much, but I know that good stuff will come around again. I remember going back to my old days now, being absolutely blown away by Earthshock, which was an incredible story when I first watched that. I don't know, 11 years old or whatever it was. No, I was younger, 10, I think. And but then you think, and I thought, oh, brilliant! All Doctor Who stories are going to be like this now. But then, of course, we had Time Flight, which is generally regarded as one of the worst ever Doctor Who stories. But I still like Time Flight. It's totally rubbish and it's very cheap. They spent all the money, but it's still. And then a few years later, I had a similar thing again. Caves of Androzani was just phenomenal, and I thought, yay! All Doctor Who is going to be like this again. And then we had the Twin Dilemma, which is a very different story again. And then, so we always have that sort of thing. We have things like, we've all got our own stories, which we think are right down the nadir of Doctor Who.
That's it.
Sadly, this might be one of those for many, but equally, it's not. And I love that. And
I'd just like to, we're going to just read a few.
Oh yes, do
more
that.
thoughts.
Yeah.
So I had an email from Fiona Byrne. Well, you were, but I want to give these guys their
give it a go.
Space. So Fiona said, I just want to get this out of the way. So much crying. I get that Shooty's Doctor wears his heart on his sleeve and shows his emotion, but crying at Sutekh's demise, really? Anyway, she said she went to see it at the cinema with her sons Aidan, who's 15 next month, and Luke, who's 12 in August. And they said afterwards, Luke said it was 20 minutes too long, and I'm not just saying that because I was tired. And Aidan said, I really enjoyed it, especially the effects. Fiona said it was nice to see it in the cinema. There was a good mix of ages and people there.
That's quite nice, isn't it?
They had a special message from Millie Gibson beforehand saying thank you for coming. She really likes the memory TARDIS and the that set design, and she hopes the resolution of Mrs. Flood is more satisfying than that of Ruby's mum. So thank you for that, Fiona. And then here I've got on Twitter, Salty Space Squirrel says, I'm so happy Kate is back alive. I said, yeah. Dan L says it was pretty poor, by far the worst episode of the season. And I think possibly my least favourite RTD finale, which is high praise given that I didn't like any of his others. It was what I was expecting from an RTD season, though. 60s Man says it didn't live up to the promise of the previous episode. Way too much sentiment in the last 20 minutes. Not an episode I'll rewatch, even though I rewatched the one before it 3 times so far. So, yeah, I've also felt it didn't kind of match up to last week. Catherine says, I really enjoyed this, which is not always a given with RTD's finales. Bonnie's performance in the memory TARDIS was beautifully done. Loved Kate saying, oh, one day line, a perfect level of resigned exasperation, followed by the dignity and hope that birds will sing again. And Shooty was amazing. And then, as was Millie, some brilliant performances from both throughout, and the farewell scene was heartbreaking. The story worked well for me, and I'm looking forward to the next series. Quill Pen said, we thought it was stunning. Shooty and Millie were brilliant. Unit of a family again. Gemma has done 12 years now as Kate. Oh, she means Gemma Redgrave. Mel being wonderful. Millie's special message for cinema goers was a lovely touch. Sutekh fantastic. James said, I loved that it was playing in the cinema, and seeing Doctor Who on the big screen was amazing. I liked the shocking moments, such as Kate being unalived. I was hoping Ruby's mum was a past character, and I liked the explanation of the remembered TARDIS and Mel. Chris Botka said, I found it to be a jumble of Deus Ex Machina in the main plot. I thought Ruby's mother's subplot will probably set unrealistic expectations for kids looking for their parents. But I did like how Ruby's mother was normal and how that plot tied in with Sutekh's plot. Man, who's at Punish Jake 2, said this was the first time I've ever watched and felt like maybe I'm too old for this. Machine Gun Morris was the first red flag. Something so stupid and abrupt and out of nowhere, it takes you out of the drama completely.
And
the red flags.
Machine guns on it.
Yeah. James H says, I don't know who it was aimed at, but it definitely wasn't for me. Bye for now, Doctor Who. I'll come back when someone else is in charge.
Come on.
I'm sure. I'm sure James will come back and watch next series. You know, and you know, be there again. The Who Tube show said, I loved it, especially at the cinema with my son. Right from how awesome the title sequence looked on the big screen to some memories of old foe more powerful than anything the Doctor had faced before. Ncuti and Millie were so good, and the Doctor's anger and tears felt sincere. So I think, you know, I like seeing that people have enjoyed it and have loved it.
Definitely,
and,
absolutely.
It's quite a good mix of things there. And our friend Chris was going to send us a voice note, but was too busy falling off his bike and hurting himself.
I should laugh. No, that's a bad thing. Stop
he should not laugh. He really did. He really did hurt himself quite badly.
Chris,
yeah.
I hope you're all right, mate.
Yeah, he's fine now. So he said, there's 2 points I'm undecided on, and whether they're going to decide, and they're going to decide whether I end up thinking it's good or not. And I said, what points are they? And he said, whether Sutekh being a dog sat in a shed was a good enough villain, and whether Ruby's mum being a normal person, and whether Ruby's mum being a normal person after all the build-up is enough of a payoff. I think in the case of at least one of those, the answer is no. And I said I wasn't too keen on Sutekh leaning on the TARDIS, but I kind of liked the mum thing, except for the naming. And he said they both felt a bit like whatever the reverse of a Chekhov's gun is. If her mum isn't important, don't hinge a bunch of the series around the snow.
Hide it in a mysterious cape and have it pointing at something in a very ominous way. Yeah, I know what he means there. Yeah, it's.
And he also says I'd have preferred a practical Sutekh, and the lad in the mask would have been perfect.
I agree. Yeah. Anyways.
So,
interesting, right? Well, there we go. It's all over for another year.
It's all now. Well, till Crimbo. When the moth is back again. So we will be back then to review that, of course. But
we've got lots of episodes in the meantime of our lovely podcast.
Yes, next week. Hang on, no. At this weekend, normal Sunday service will resume with former Doctor Who script editor Andrew Cartmel interview talking about his new book, The Ashram Assassin, and we might have a little competition to win a copy of that as well. He also wrote Script Doctor that Paul's pointing at. If you're only listening to us, Paul is pointing at Andrew Cartmel's book, Script Doctor, which is about...
And also Ashram Assassin as well. So.
Yeah, we might have a little competition for that.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to have a commentary on Eve of the Daleks with Mr. Joe Ford, which is... absolutely brilliant, if I do say so myself. And then
we got loads coming up.
We've got Once Upon a Time with producer Pete Levy, which is also brilliant. And then we might have, we will have another one for Planet of Evil after that with Mr. Aldua, which we need to record and get arranged, but that's on the schedule. Of course, these things might all go out the window depending on what happens.
I didn't realise you could actually read them off the schedule, mate. I was going to try
that's the plan. Oh, okay, all right. Stuff's coming up.
Leave something in the back pocket, you know what I mean?
Same bat channel, same bat time.
We got loads coming anyway, so let's just leave it at that. Listeners, thank you so much for sticking with us, and please stay happy, stay positive. More Doctor Who is on the way, and more Who Corner to Corner is also on the way. Thank you for everyone who's left us messages, sent us voice notes. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.